really appreciate the fact that so many students were actively engaged in the icebreaker. That's what today's conference is all about, getting to know new people, learn about things that you share, things in ways which are different, and learning all sorts of things during the course of the day. So I hope that you have a great experience today. I am so glad that you are here. I was a high school teacher for 33 years, and I tell you, I miss high school students. Some people wouldn't say that, but I totally do, because high school students are so creative and so talented and smart and together and funny and energetic, and they're going to save the world. So you are going to save the world, and I'm glad that you're here, and I hope that today's experience will make you an even better global citizen than you probably already are. When you get back to school, I just want to say, please do thank the teachers who brought you. Thank the principal and parents who let you come and gave you permission to participate. Your principal also is a member of the Virginia School University Partnership, and that's why you got to attend this leadership conference for free. And Dr. Roger Collins is standing in the back of the room, giving you a wave. He's the executive director of the Virginia School University Partnership, which is now transitioning to a new name. So if you come back next year, our name will be Virginia School Consortium for Learning. That's why you got all those letters at the top of your name back this year. We're doing both names. So, but that's why you got to come to this event for free. I did leadership at my school for a long time, and you always had to pay all this money to come to these conferences. So we're really glad to be able to support this and allow you to come and participate in this for free. So we hope it will prove invaluable, and we thank you for being here. Keep your eyes and your ears open. It's a new place, the new people, new ideas, and we think that you're going to get a lot out of it. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Abby Boitma, who's going to give you a little sort of welcome and general overview of the day.
I got some papers, so I'm going to stand over here. My name is Abby Boitnott. I'm a senior at Western Albemarle High School. It's really great to see all of you guys here, and welcome to VSUP. I attended VSUP for the first time last year, and I was so overwhelmed by just the extremely diverse and just large collection of students that we have here from the entire state of Virginia. So I would encourage you to talk to as many different students as you can today, to talk to each other about, life, about your school, about the things that you do, if you have a leadership program, the different opportunities that are given to you, and really try to take advantage of being able to learn about each other and of being able to become greater and better global citizens. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the day. Everybody should have a program. They're blue, pretty easy to find. This has everybody's names and some other information in the back with our schedule on it. If you don't have one, we have plenty of extras at the registration table where your school should have checked in, out in the lobby. The first part of the day is the opening general session that we are going to begin in a few moments. So our theme this year is Living Local, Going Global. We're very excited to be partnering with EF Education First this year, and we're looking forward to hearing from several different student speakers who are going to share their experiences as we begin our exploration of what it means to be a global citizen. We also have some small group sessions today. So small group discussions are the heart and soul of the VSUP Student Leadership Conference. It allows us to talk to each other, to collaborate with one another, and to just gain ideas from one another. So really take advantage of those small group sessions. In the past, participants have always responded really positively to the opportunity to talk and learn to students from other schools. We hope everyone has a great experience participating in these small groups at this year's conference. So each participant has been assigned a group number, which is indicated on your name badge. If you are group number 1 through 7, your small group session will meet in the AM session, which is from 11 to 12. And if you are groups 8 through 14, your small group session will meet from 1 to 2 in the PM session. And so whichever AM or PM you're not in the small group, you'll be at the share fair. So you get to do both things. It's half and half. The room that has been assigned to each discussion group is indicated on your map, which everyone should have a copy of. Again, we have extras of those at the registration table if you don't have one of those. And look at the map and the room assignment for your group number. Clark and Lewis, those rooms are located down the main hallway on your right before you get back to the front lobby, or they can be accessed out the back doors of Jefferson on your left. And there's going to be extra people helping you. There's signs everywhere. You'll be able to find your rooms. So faculty advisors who wish to do so are encouraged to attend our professional learning seminar during the rest of the hour when small groups are held. We hope that everybody will really enjoy and get a lot out of participating in your small groups, which will be led by seniors who volunteer to serve as facilitators for these discussions. Let's get a round of applause for our senior facilitators. We had a lot of senior facilitators come last night for a few hours here to our training, so we've been putting in, the time and the effort to really help you guys and lead these discussions. Please help them to make your discussion great by participating actively and sharing your thoughts. Please also be respectful of the other members of your discussion group and encourage everyone to be involved in the discussion so that you can hear as many different ideas as possible. The main thing we ask is that you contribute your ideas and share your experiences, and that you listen to and learn from other students in your small groups. And I know that was a whole bunch of stuff, but you guys will be totally fine. We're also going to use part of this space for our small group sessions. So after the opening session and the speakers that we're going to have, we ask students that are in the back, if you look, we have kind of tracks running that we're going to pull walls out and make new rooms. So this front half here will be used for the share fair, and the back half will be divided into 2 different rooms that we're going to have small groups in. So if students that are sitting in that back half could stack their chairs against the wall at the end of the opening session, that would be super helpful, and that would be less work that we have to do. Let's see, then we're going to have the share fair, who Ms. Frances Fulton is going to talk to you guys about in just 1 second. And then we are going to also have a closing ceremony from 2:15 to 2:30. If schools have to leave before that closing ceremony at 2, please make sure that you check out at the registration table. And I think that is everything on my papers. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Ms. Frances Fulton to talk to you guys about the share fair.
Hey guys, so like Abby said, the Share Fair is going to be about globalization this year. So each group that is presenting today will do a brief, about 5-minute presentation on projects that they did in their school that connected them with cultures and other larger groups. So each group will be filmed and then available on the VSUP website. So if you're in a small group while your group is presenting, you'll be able to see it later. And now Kristen Cabrera is going to come talk about the Twitter walls you see. Hey guys, my name is Kristen Cabrera. I'm from Fluvanna County High School, and as you guys have probably noticed, the tweet walls, you can hashtag all your tweets and Instagrams to VSUP 2017, and you're going to want to make sure that your tweets are appropriate and your profile pictures are appropriate, because they will be permanently up on the website. Make sure not to tweet during small groups or during the share fairs, because you just want to be respectful. And if you don't have internet access, the password is HI guest. So make sure to tweet. And next we're going to have Emily Smith talk about the icebreakers.
Hey guys, who's excited for VSUP? All right, so I'm going to talk about the icebreaker. Everybody should have these bingo sheets. I've seen people filling them out all morning. They look great. So the purpose of these is to get to know new people, start new conversations, see what we have in common, what makes us different, and just get a feel for the different programs at our different schools and just how diverse we are and what we can learn from each other. So there are 5 different boards. As you can see, I'm sure you've seen everybody filling them out all morning, and there'll be prizes at the end. So if you get 4 in a row, so if you get bingo, you can get chocolate at the share fair, or if you're leaving early. And then if you fill up more than 1 board, which I'm sure a lot of people are doing because I've seen a lot of boards full this morning, then you get cookies. And Miss Scout's cookies are amazing. I don't know if you've ever tried them, but they're great. And so for schools that are leaving at 2 o'clock, bring your bingo boards to out there to the registration desk when you leave, and you'll get your prizes then. But if you're staying for the closing ceremony, just at one of the 2 doors, bring me or Kira your boards. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And it really is great because students really are the ones who help plan this conference, and they're the heart and soul of it. So we appreciate the people who stood up and spoke. Fluvanna and Western have been really instrumental in helping plan this year's event. The other person that I'd like to thank really quickly is Stephanie Lennon, who works for EF Education First. And she and I have been working on this for a long time, since last spring. So I want to have her come up for just a quick second to introduce our MC for the General Assembly. Thank you.
I love seeing all these faces this morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I want to thank you all for being here today. There are a lot of places you could be, namely school, but we're glad that we got to borrow you for today. And we are especially thankful for the people who traveled quite a bit to be here. I was talking to somebody that I met in the hallway who said that they had to meet at their bus at 5 a.m., so thank you. But we have somebody who traveled even further, who's our special guest today. And he's somebody that I met when I traveled to Boston. And then we ended up forging kind of an unlikely friendship because I'm old enough to be his mom. But we ended up traveling together to the Netherlands and Germany and the Czech Republic. And he is here today to share some of his adventures with you and how this helped him become a global citizen. He is one of the most worldly, adventurous, open-minded people that I know, and he's also my only friend in Minnesota. So please welcome Calvin Dresky.
So, hello everyone. As she said, my name is Calvin, and I'm here today from Minnesota, and I'm going to be your MC for this general session. So as you guys know, we're gathered today to talk about global citizenship, and I think the best way to begin that conversation is to hear from you guys. So before we jump into presentations or the video we have prepared, let's take a minute, share with those around you what your definition of global citizenship is. All right? I'll give you a minute. All right, 10 more seconds. All right, great. So we want to hear from you. So who's willing to share either what they heard or what they thought of for a definition of global citizenship? Yes. And introduce yourself, please.
Oh, okay. Hi everyone, my name is Alexis Massenberg and I'm from Glen Allen High School. And I think a global citizen is not necessarily someone that has traveled before, but I think it's someone that educates themselves about the world and accepts other cultures and races for what they are.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alexis. Does anyone else want to share either what they heard or what they came up with? Yeah. And again, stand.
Hello guys, my name is Alina Haidari and I'm a senior at Charlottesville High School. I think global citizenship is just like being mindful and respectful of other cultures and like just don't be disrespectful to other culture. It's just not the global citizenship. So I think being aware of other people and cultures and mindful of their beliefs and ideas, I think that's global citizenship that I think that.
All right, thank you. All right, so now we have a video prepared in which a few people are going to share their definitions of global citizenship. So Stephanie, do we have that queued up? Yes, all right.
I think at one point we'll realize there's one beautiful blue marble. We've seen it from outer space, and this is our world to protect and love and preserve for the future.
We're all the same, we're all connected, we all have the same fundamental needs and interests, and we're basically all connected. It's just that becoming a global citizen is the realization of the connection that's already there.
Understanding and embracing the oneness of humanity, meaning that we are all one human family, we're brothers and sisters, we're equal. Our destinies are bound up together, and everything from human rights to climate change affects all of us.
I have a responsibility in small and big ways, as a citizen, as an individual, and as a congressman, to connect with people around the planet in a responsible way. And that means I make responsible decisions about the environment.
means nothing about us without us, that every person has an inherent dignity and human rights, and that their voice matters. Our voice matters, and your voice matters.
A global citizen appreciates diversity.
And it's recognizing that everybody needs to take an active effort in making sure that the world is a more peaceful place for the future generation.
Concern with people that live in different places and their well-being, and then taking action.
You care what's happening to Syrian civilians, you care what's happening to citizens in the Central African Republic. It means that you care about what's happening in Asia.
We're all one world, whether we want to be admitted or not. We're part of the world, and each of us, and that's the fundamental truth of our lives.
If people are struggling in Africa or India or China, their struggles are my struggles. I'm not separated from them by the borders of my country.
Being guided by a prevailing belief in humanism and the rights of everyone.
It means building bridges across diversity and to act locally, but to think of what your actions mean and their consequences both abroad and around us.
It means being engaged with the world. You're committed to a global community and you're responsible for healing it. It means being open-minded and educated about the world and showing empathy and respect for human rights that extends beyond your own borders.
That our society, our culture, everything must reflect the fact that we are one human family with all of our diversity, all of our differences. We share a greater oneness.
Having a world view where you see yourself as a citizen of the world, you act as a citizen of the world, and you demand that as a citizen you have a say. It means that some of your personal sovereignty is invested in a global solution for our world's problems today.
Being a global citizen means taking the steps to make sure we don't blow each other up.
All right, so now that we've heard a little bit about global citizenship, both from you guys and from this video, I'm gonna share what global citizenship means to me. And to do so, I'm gonna sort of take off my MC coat, and I'm going to now be a bit more formal and give a speech that I prepared for today. Does this work? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Are we ready?
I can't remember how to present this one. Okay, perfect. I'll just scroll it up. I'll do that.
So, as I said, my name is Calvin. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I'm here today to talk about the concept of global citizenship. To do so, I'm going to walk you through a brief overview of my life. Specifically, I'm going to talk about my upbringing, one of my first international travel experiences, and a few of the communities I belong to, as well as a few actions I've taken to become a more informed citizen. So, I'm from rural Minnesota. Specifically, I'm from a small little town nestled along the Mississippi River called Winona. Winona is home to 2 universities, a population of 30,000, and a bustling art scene. Growing up in Winona, it occurred to me that as a child, Winona was my world, right? Like, I rarely thought about what existed beyond the 30-mile radius that encompassed my school, my friends, essentially everything I needed. And thinking about that, that's pretty crazy, right? Like, as a small child, I had no idea that Virginia even existed. But then again, I guess it'd be crazy if I did know as a 3-year-old that Virginia existed. Anyway, jumping ahead to high school, my world began to grow. I had opportunities to travel to other cities, to other states, and then my junior year, I had the opportunity to travel to Costa Rica as part of EF's Global Citizens Scholarship. Now, to give a bit of context, this scholarship program brings together students from across the United States to learn about a pressing world issue at an international youth conference in a different city every year. So as a small-town kid from the Midwest, this experience, getting to travel and connect with other like-minded students, really changed my life, really rocked my world. I mean, never before had I had the opportunity to come together with so many like-minded, motivated students and learn about a pressing world issue from world leaders. So returning from Costa Rica, I was feeling extra motivated. Like I participated in something spectacular and now had this responsibility to change the world. So riding this high of sorts, I decided I should do something with this motivation. Thinking about what I should do, I realized that what I really wanted was for kids in my hometown community to feel motivated, to feel as if they were a part of something larger, to feel as I had felt while I was in Costa Rica. So realizing that for me, it took getting out of Winona to feel this way, I decided I needed to create an opportunity for others to get out, to travel, to see the world. Though, after considering how logistically complicated and potentially expensive that may be, I decided, instead of bringing kids from Winona out into the world, it'd be easier to bring the world to Winona. To do this, I partnered with a local elementary school teacher to create opportunities for kids to learn about the world. Working with this teacher, we created a program called the WK Global Forum, and WK is the name of the elementary school that I worked at. As part of this program, I worked with Winona State University and arranged for my students to learn about the world, not from me, but from international students. I did so because for me, the most formative part of being in Costa Rica was learning from either the locals or from experts at the youth conference. Now, I've outlined my experiences traveling and subsequent decision to create the WK Global Forum because in retrospect, I believe this decision was my first step in becoming a global citizen. In having my students learn from international students rather than myself, I recognized the importance of learning from others, of gaining perspective, and of building empathy. Okay, now I'm going to jump ahead and talk a little bit about my life after high school. After graduating, I spent a year in Germany, where I lived with a host family and attended a German high school. I then moved to the Twin Cities, which for those of you who don't know, that's what Minnesotans call Minneapolis and St. Paul. I also became a student at Macalester College. I came out as gay, I found myself a boyfriend. A lot has happened in a few short years. Now I've chosen to outline these specific aspects of my life because for me, each represents a community that I belong to. And furthering my consideration of what it means to be a global citizen, I believe that recognizing one's communities is necessary in order to enact some sort of meaningful change. We must work within the communities we are a part in order to instigate the change we hope to see within the world. As a white, cisgender gay man, it is my responsibility to call out racism when I see or hear it, as well as to call out homophobia or transphobia when it is safe for me to do so. Additionally, it is my responsibility to try my best to empathize with those who are different from me. Doing so will help me better understand others and maybe allow space for others to better understand me. Lastly, given the unique set of privileges that I possess, it is important for me to actively create space where traditionally marginalized voices, women, people of color, immigrants, queer people, the disabled, spaces where these voices will be heard and will be listened to. So that's a lot, and I want to again return to this concept of global citizenship. For me, the second major step I've taken in becoming a global citizen is actively recognizing the power that I hold and the responsibility I have in each of my many communities. I've realized that it is within each of these communities that I have the greatest potential to create some sort of meaningful change. Okay, now the third and most recent step I've taken in becoming a global citizen is becoming an informed citizen, not only of the United States, but of the world. For me, the first step in this process was an active recognition of the fact that we live in a global society. Undoubtedly, our economic, social, and personal interests are becoming increasingly interwoven, and more than ever before, we're learning from one another culturally and academically. And as cultures rub up against one another, it is my responsibility as a global citizen to promote peace and forge pathways for understanding. And that is my challenge to you all today. Each and every one of you is here because you are a leader. You're leaders in your school communities, in your local communities, and now you're leaders in a larger statewide community. And that is incredible. Being leaders, I challenge each and every one of you to use your positions of leadership to create meaningful change within your respective communities. In doing so, I encourage you to learn from and listen to one another in a deliberate effort to gain perspective and build empathy. My journey in becoming a global citizen began during my junior year of high school when I had the unique opportunity to travel to Costa Rica as part of the EF Global Citizen Scholarship. And this process of becoming global citizens can begin for you all today. It can begin right here, right now, in this very room. Thank you. All right, so now I'm going to throw back my MC coat on. And now, is this on? Can you guys hear me? Hello? Okay, perfect. So now, it is my pleasure to introduce Caitlin Langford. Caitlin, who is a self-described ball of sunshine, is a senior at Amherst High School who hopes to pursue a degree in music education. So please give a warm round of applause for Caitlin.
I'm just gonna get this situated. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Hi, my name is Caitlin Langford, and I traveled to Switzerland and Italy in 2016 with Amherst County High School. In these 14 days of travel, I experienced things I never could have imagined. Every day was slam-packed with adventures and memories I'll never forget. But as every traveler knows, there are things you learn while traveling that are completely distinct experiences that broaden your mind and carry over into your life. 3 moments within my travel led to my story. My first story begins on one of the oldest bridges in Europe, created in 1333, the Chapel Bridge, more commonly known as Capel Buca. Within every frame, there is paintings dating centuries back. Every image of Lucerne's past was depicted with war, famine, death, and plague. Here we were on one of the most beautiful bridges, rich with history, filled with the laughter of my classmates as we hurried to our next destination. Yet each frame stopped me in my tracks and brought me to another time. I felt their fear and pain in every frame as each painting captured death, and I tried to grasp the everyday norm that was 17th century Lucerne. As we continued our journey, we were stopped by our tour guide to notice that the square we were in still had the family crest from centuries ago on the houses. Each crest told a story of the family's name, heritage, and occupation. Each family distilled down into labels, left until the paint chipped away. The character and personality of individuals within those families had diminished with time passed after their death. Gone with the memories of loved ones and unknown to the modern day. How many names are lost? How many stories have faded within time? My third thought occurred while in Venice, one of the most romanticized places on the world, a city of islands connected on roads of water, one of the greatest trading posts reduced to a mere tourist trap. Doomed to be covered in water in 100 years, the people who created this city were long gone. And eventually not even this land would stand. I wondered what this city would be remembered as, what would be saved. All these moments left questions circling my head. These places were much more than attractions, much more than a beautiful picture, or something to knock off a bucket list. These places have histories that have managed to last centuries while the world has developed around them, but others lost within time. These places were once somebody's home. It shows that their life, they fought fear, war, disease, but most importantly, it shows how we as humans have survived. Today, there are billions of humans left to the same destiny, whether names will be lost or engraved, and yet together we might share an identity that will never be forgotten through the history we make as a society. I have had so many conversations with people determined to make their name known, but history shows that people won't remember my name, who I was, how I laughed, and it won't remember most of yours either. But don't worry, I'm not going to end on that depressing note. Each of our names might not be remembered, but the movements we attach ourselves to and the values that they stand for have a chance to be remembered. My name will be found within the movements of progress and equality. Through the women's marches on Washington, groups that fight for stronger school funding for arts, and they will know about the centuries ongoing fight for social and racial justice. And in the end, that's all that matters. There is beauty in the history we make that stretches to every anonymous person who has ever lived and it forever will evolve within us. Life is not greater than all of us. Life is us. And these little moments, some forgotten, some remembered, we should love, smile, and commit ourselves to all the ways we can help to create a more beautiful world. Tourists in the far future might not know me as an individual, but they will benefit from the world I helped to build. Thank you.
All right, let's give another round of applause to Caitlin. No? Okay, perfect. Having issues with this mic. Okay, so now before we jump ahead to our next student presenter, we're going to take a moment to rearrange ourselves. You guys should notice that on your name tags, there is a number. This number corresponds to your group for the day. And we have numbers up on the walls here that indicate where you need to sit to find that group. So we're going to try and do this as quickly as possible. I need you guys to get up and to rearrange yourselves and sit as close to that number as possible. And faculty advisors, you guys can sit wherever you'd like.
Music teacher, English teacher. Yeah, I know,
All right, 30 more seconds. Find those new groups, please. All right. Fantastic. I think this thing has like a 2-minute lifespan. All right, fantastic. So now that you guys are in your new groups, we're going to take a moment and we're going to reflect on what Caitlin shared with us, okay? So she shared the importance of being remembered and of getting involved and becoming a part of a community. So now in your new So now in your new groups, I want each of you guys to take a moment and introduce yourselves and then share with someone near you what you're currently involved in and what you hope to be remembered for. Okay? I'll give you guys about 4 minutes for that. Now I'm going to come back to you guys. I want to hear from some of you what you heard, what you found fantastic, what you heard that your peers are currently involved in. So, who wants to share? There we are.
Hi, my name is Francesca Sircosta. I'm a senior at Spotswood High School, and some of my friends over here are from the Richmond area, so they kind of do a lot with the Richmond community and get involved. Like you said, you were helping with children with disabilities. I thought that was so interesting, and I would love to do stuff like that, so I applaud them for that. I thought it was really cool.
Wonderful. Oh, there's another.
Okay, so my name is Cole, and in our little group over here, we talked about how we should kind of strive to make a difference, but not strive to let it be noticed as a personal gain of ourselves. Because if we look to gain fame or popularity for something that we did, it might not be as successful as just that maybe being a side effect that we don't look for. It might just happen whether we like it or not. Kind of like when you think back to your elementary school teachers, their goal wasn't for you to remember them by their name just so that you would remember what they taught you, but whether we like it or not, some of us will remember our elementary school teachers. So just kind of an analogy to think about there.
That's wonderful. Thinking of others first. What about the back of the room? What did we learn back here? What did we learn from our new group members? Yep.
Hi, my name is Nicole Depper. Deja in my group is already working on a global scale. And through her school, Key Club, I think you said, they're helping with the relief at Puerto Rico and with the hurricane efforts. So I think that's amazing, especially since they're really struggling right now and they could get old.
Fantastic. All right, I'm going to pick on this quadrant since all. What did we learn over here? Yes.
Hi, my name is Claudia. I'm from Madison. In my other group over here, we have a lot of community-involved students, which I was really interested to hear about. I know that everybody who's here today is clearly going to be really
in their school communities, in their communities, because like that's why you're here. You clearly are passionate about making your school a better place, and it was just really interesting hearing about the different areas of your communities that these people were involved with, whether it was the LGBTQ community or just educating others about global awareness. It was just really interesting.
Go ahead and plug it in for the rest of you.
All right. Does this one work? Can you guys hear me? Fantastic. All right, so now that we've heard from a few of you guys, we're going to hear from another student speaker. So now it is my pleasure to introduce Madison Braswell. Madison is a senior at Matoka High School, interested in international relations and Spanish, and she is here today to talk a bit about her experience traveling to Ecuador. So a big round of applause for Madison.
Hi, my name is Madison Braswell, and I'm a senior at Matoka High School. Over the summer of 2016, I was given the opportunity to travel to Ecuador. When I first heard that Mr. Shigley was planning a trip to Ecuador, I remember thinking to myself, why Ecuador? We could be traveling to some country in Europe where we could go sightseeing and relax. Doing manual labor hardly seems like an enjoyable vacation. However, my family convinced me that it would look good on my college application, so I signed up. The first thing that struck me when we landed in Quito was how beautiful it was. The whole country was truly breathtaking, from the cloud forest, waterfalls, mountains, to the Amazon rainforest. It's something that will forever leave me in awe. In contrast, however, I saw cases of extreme poverty. I remember passing by feeble homes where you could see families sitting inside eating dinner together. I can still see the plethora of beggars lining the marketplace and pleading for a few coins. As an animal lover, something that really got to me was all of the stray dogs. They seemed desperate for nourishment, love, and affection. Believe me when I say, if I could take all of them home with me, I would have. But the hardest thing for me to comprehend was their dire need for something we as Americans often take for granted: water. We met a farmer who told us that his daughter had passed away simply because they didn't have access to clean drinking water. Yet we're blessed enough to live in a country where people use gallons just to water their lawns. After he told us this heartfelt story, I felt guilty. I'd never even thought about how lucky I truly am. As a teenager, it's easy to get caught up in drama and every little thing that goes wrong. It feels like the end of the world, but it isn't. We're given the opportunity to do whatever we want in life, not necessarily because we deserve it, but as Mr. Shigley says, because we won the jackpot by being born in this country. I'm not gonna lie, the work wasn't exactly fun. We shoveled debris and sand, and then carried cinder blocks and bags of sand up a muddy hill. But what made it worth it was knowing that we'd made an impact. We were assisting in the construction of a clinic, and I will never forget how grateful they were. One of the doctors came up to us, and quite honestly, I've never heard anyone say thank you that much. That was the moment that I discovered my passion for helping people. For the past 2 years since we returned, I've mentored freshmen at my high school and assisted programs such as Stop Hunger Now and the Backpack program at my church, which enables underprivileged school children to obtain food. One thing that really struck me about Ecuador was their devotion to family. At the beginning of the trip, our tour guide told us that families defined as people that eat meals together. So for those 9 days, we would be a family, and he was right. The trip allowed me to build a bond that could only be described as a family. I experienced this in a lot of my relationships. The first was with my roommate, Abby, and the second was with our tour guide, David. 2 years had passed since our trip, and I still consider Abby to be a sister. David also made a lasting impact on me. He told us that as much as he loves his job, it was hard being away from his treasures, which are his wife and his son. I'd never heard anyone talk about family in such a loving fashion. It truly warmed my heart and made me realize what's really important in life. When we first embarked for Ecuador, I was extremely shy. I didn't even have enough confidence to raise my hand in class. Now here I am talking in front of all of you guys. And I can thank Mr. Shigley and the Ecuador trip for that. It really pushed me out of my comfort zone. As the week progressed, I was no longer worried about what others might think of me. I was just enjoying the time that we had together. One of the things that is very different about a service-learning trip compared to a leisure one is that everyone's working together for a common goal. We were focused on making improvements in other people's lives. By the end of the trip, it was apparent that Abby and I had become very close. Actually, we had a sleepover the day after we got back. She even came to homecoming with me, despite the fact she lives 30 minutes away. Because of these experiences, I've been blessed with a lot of special friendships. By the end of the trip, I'd completely fallen in love with the country. My friend and I even joked about throwing our passports into the river so we wouldn't have to return home. Those 9 days were quite honestly the best days of my life. I've never felt more like myself or happier than I was during that trip. They truly treated you like family, and I couldn't have felt more at home. When I said goodbye to our tour guide at the airport, I cried for like an hour. I'm not ashamed, but fortunately, it wasn't truly goodbye. Because if there's one thing I'm sure of, it's that I'm going back one day. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, so to keep things rolling, we're going to hear from our final, and let me just get my note cards here. Our final student presenter, Bree. Bree is a senior at Amherst High School, interested in music education and political science. Please give a warm round of applause to welcome Bree.
So my name is Bree Yancey. I am also a senior at Amherst County High School like Caitlin. And this past June, I was given the opportunity to visit Greece, Italy, and Spain with my school's EF tour group. As a lover of other cultures, architecture, history, and someone who wanted to get Greece off of her bucket list, I jumped at the opportunity. So while in Athens, I met an older man who helped to run a music shop in the city, and he knew very little English. Like, we had a conversation, but it barely qualified as one because we could barely understand each other. So I asked him what guitars were on sale in the shop because I was curious, and he had several displayed against the back wall. He pointed the majority of them and proceeded to ask what instruments I played. I told him I'm a singer, I do piano, and I was becoming interested in guitar, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So he suddenly just nodded and walked away. So I assumed that he didn't understand me and just decided to continue on with his day without, continuing. And a few minutes later, he came back with a small picture of a girl that I obviously didn't know. And he said, "This is my daughter. She sings too. You look like her." So I was touched at the comment, and I smiled at him and continued to shop. Finally, I went to pay for him for a small set of guitar picks as a gift that cost about 10 euros. He disappeared under the counter for a moment and pulled out a small paperweight that looked like a ukulele. I thought it was cute, so I nodded and went to hand him another 5 euros for the item, but he handed back the 10 that I had originally given him. Of course, I was appalled at paying anything more than, any less than what I had originally intended to, and we kind of silently argued over who would pay more for what. And so I gave in. I had to. I felt so bad. But he came around the corner and he hugged me and he just kissed both of my cheeks. And I left the store feeling as though I made a new friend, despite the fact that I never even learned his name. I now realize that what made the half hour I spent inside of the store so impacting was the fact that I was able to understand someone who didn't speak my language, and he lives an entire ocean away from me and more. Watching the world from my small Virginia home, I find myself thinking about the little man in the music shop and just how by simple communication, we were able to make a strong, though short, bond. It reminds me of how the world seems almost on its head now. No one is able to communicate with one another without feeling insecure, like I'm shaking right now. The conversation I had in Athens goes beyond the doorway to the shop. We live in a world where if we want to move forward as individuals and even as a country, we have to learn to speak to one another clearly and openly with the ability to accept what the other side says, even if we don't always understand.
All right, do we have that other microphone? Okay, fantastic. All right, so thank you for those beautiful presentations. That was wonderful. Now that we've heard a bit about personal growth and becoming a global citizen, we're gonna do another reflection exercise. So as a quick review, in my speech, I spoke about the importance of empathy and activism. Caitlin spoke about her experience in Europe and how she hopes to be remembered by future generations. Madison spoke about her time in Ecuador, where she found travel to be a catalyst for human connection. And Bree just left us with words about the state of the nation and the need for communities to come together and promote understanding. So, thinking about all of that, I want you all to take a moment and think about the ways students in your schools are encouraged to show respect for diversity, specifically for the diversity of people, groups, and individuals. So take a moment, and once you've had a chance to think, please share your thoughts again within your groups, and then we'll share again to the larger group. Okay?
School, in our group, we discussed different things that our schools do to either promote diversity or like the struggles that we have when trying to promote diversity. In our group, I have this lovely girl named McKenna, and she said that last year she had an opportunity for a class period to help a girl who had moved from Somalia and to teach her English, and I thought that was very interesting because I haven't gotten a similar opportunity to that. My school has like clubs and events that do promote like global citizenship with like encouraging different cultures and also discussion.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yep.
Hello, I'm Holly. I'm from Cumberland High School. And we heard an interesting story in my group from Tegan about how they go in their school and the SGA officers go and talk to the 8th graders about different, oh, it was Caitlin, I'm so sorry. Caitlin talked about how the SCA officers go and talk to the 8th graders about ideas like privilege and racism and things like that that are really prevalent in our society, and how even kids as young as 8th graders can learn about those things and make a difference in their community.
Thank you. I think that's incredibly important. I know growing up in a small town in Minnesota, I wasn't really exposed to those types of ideas until coming to college, so I think it's wonderful you guys are beginning that now, beginning that early. Yes?
My name is Abby, and I go to Western Albemarle High School, which is about 15 minutes from here. And being from Charlottesville, and I'm sure all of my fellow Charlottesvillians can agree with me, we've all been very affected by the events that have occurred in Charlottesville recently, and it really has opened our eyes to racism and to hatred, and has also opened our eyes to embracing diversity. And so I talked to Annika, who is from Millbrook High School, and she said that in their cafeteria, they surround it with flags from all the different countries that they have students representing from. And I thought that that was really great, and we should try to bring that to Western if we can.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, again, we're down to this quadrant. You guys are the quiet quadrant. Who wants to share? Yes.
I'm Lauren Gibson, and I'm from Clark County High School. And I know in Clark County, we at least have an LGBTQ club, in addition to like Republican club. So we talked about in our group that it's not so much race or culture as diversity, as it is different beliefs and different kinds of people that you see. It's not always just about skin color.
Fantastic. Yeah, I like how you recognize that those identities aren't necessarily mutually exclusive, that you need to keep that space open for dialogue. Now we have a few more minutes, so I want you guys to continue the conversations you were having in your groups, but now talk about the ways you feel that your school communities could improve. So I want you guys to come up with some ideas for either future programs or future clubs, and don't hesitate to be creative, okay? The crazier the better, okay? So I'm gonna give you 4 more minutes, and then we're gonna do another share, and then we'll come together, okay? Fantastic.
Hi, my name's Abby. I go to Millbrook High School up in Frederick County. One thing that my group and I talked about is that we feel like in all of our clubs and at all of our events, we see the same kids every single time, and if you look at all the membership in all of the clubs, the same kids compose almost every single club. And we want to create something or make it more enticing so we can get more members of all communities and all viewpoints represented within our schools.
That's wonderful. Do you have any ideas for maybe how you would want to do that?
This past year at my high school, we did a club fair, which is actually one of the ideas that we pulled from VSUP last year. And it seemed to work really well, at least with some of the clubs that I'm involved in. Our membership increased steadily. We wanted to also think about giving people in different communities, like the LGBTQ community or different racial groups, a better and safer platform to maybe speak up and different things like that.
Fantastic. Yeah, sort of that concept of stepping back if you are traditionally a leader so that you allow space for others to step up. Yep.
How you guys doing? I'm Jonathan Coleman. I'm from Atoka High School in Chesterfield County. And it's a lot of people in here. I'm a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie. I'm shaking, a little bit sweaty. So it was really funny because this school, Monticello High School, is pretty much exactly the same as Matoka. And they're going through, not the same problems, but kind of the same barriers. It's pretty funny because one of the problems they were talking about is the same thing me and my twin brother, Emmanuel Hickman, stand up, show him the face. We just had a principal advisory meeting yesterday about it, how we could bring the school all together instead of just like some clubs, some people doing it, not the whole school. And one of his ideas was to throw a school-wide party. Not a dance, but like a party where we could all hang out and like have bouncies, games, and stuff like that. So like, that sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? All right, so we're just trying to get the okay from our principals and everything. So as soon as they give us the okay, I think we're gonna go ahead and do that. And like field days and fairs outside. I think I'll definitely help. All right.
Love that. I love that idea. It's fantastic. Did you also want to add to that? Oh, it's getting serious.
All right, well, thank you so much to my twin brother. So we actually have the great privilege of he's the head president and I'm the vice president. And with my group, we had a great conversation on pep rallies. A lot of different schools have taken the pep rallies out of, how to bring the school together. So they've taken it out of it. So that means that we need to put it back in. So in our schools, we actually had a live DJ. We had the band playing. We had basketball games. We had eating contests. So if you guys really want to liven your school's spirit up, and let's use a little bit different terminology for some of you, make your school lit. Great ways to do that is by having pep rallies. That means planning different things that's gonna bring your school together. So if you guys like to listen to rock, you like to listen to hip hop, have a nice mix to it, you know what I'm saying? Like find who's the best artist or something like that and bring them to your school. Keep reaching out, and use YouTube. We have so much technology, but we don't use it. So use YouTube, figure out how to enhance different ideas, and then bounce off from there. Thanks so much, twin brother. And
I love that. That's wonderful. Sort of using art and platforms for fun to bring people together. We're going to hear from two more.
Hey guys, as earlier, I'm Emily. I'm from Western Albemarle. So something we were talking about in our group is we have two kind of very different ends of the spectrum. We have a couple people from really small schools, like 1,450 kids total. Quentin, right here, has 450 kids from all of middle school and high school in his school. And so something that he was talking about, is how everybody knows each other, respects each other because they've been together forever. And they just know about different cultures, know about just different types of people. And then on some of, I know at Western and Culpeper, we're overwhelmingly white and have very little diversity. And I think even with the recent events in Charlottesville, we still just don't know how to bring it to our school. So then some different ideas we had were, this is kind of silly, but one thing we've done at Western is we have stall talk. So in the bathroom, on the walls, Region 10 has posted just different things about different groups, this month's is about nicotine. And so something we were thinking is if we post stuff there, people read it. We have homeroom, morning announcements, so many ways to get information to the school, but that's the top thing. So if we post more about diversity there, then it's gonna reach more people. And then another idea someone else had was have a speaker come. So I think at the schools that have just much more diversity in their student body, it's easy to get to know people. But at schools that don't have that, if we had someone come in and talk, it would be effective because we could hear it firsthand and not see it all the time. So, thank you.
Thank you. Was there one other hand? Yep, one other hand here. So our final contribution.
Hi everybody, I'm Eunice. I'm from Manassas Park, and our group basically talked about more broader topics of spreading awareness and understanding and empathy, like seeing yourself from other people's shoes and realizing, hey, they have problems just like we do, and realizing that we're not just the main hero in our own little movie. There's other people and they have lives too. And I come from a very minority-based school, but there's still issues where some people may not understand where the other person's coming from, and that causes, backlash and people to fight and argue. And we've really just been trying to push understanding and awareness. Definitely knowledge is power, so that's the main important thing, spreading it out there. And yeah.
Thank you, Eunice. All right, so now if I could turn all of your attention towards the screen, you'll notice that there is a link up here. And this is actually a pretty cool thing. This link, which is included in all of your information packets, so don't worry if you don't take a picture of this. You have it in your papers. If you don't, it's at the information desk. But this link will take you to an application to a scholarship program. So in my speech, I talked a little bit about the opportunity I received to go to Costa Rica during my high school experience and how transformative that was for me and how that really began my journey becoming a global citizen. Well, that same scholarship program is now being offered to you guys by EF Education First. And that's pretty cool because the deadline for the scholarship was November 1st, but they're pushing it to November 30th just for the people here today in this room. So if you guys apply to this scholarship, you're going to be entered into this program, and this summer, instead of going to Costa Rica, we're going to Berlin, and we're going to be learning from tech companies about the future of technology and innovation. So I'm not sure exactly who's going to be there, but rumors of like Google and stuff, so that's pretty cool. And you'll have the chance to again come together with students from across the United States to learn about a pressing world issue from world leaders. So I highly recommend anyone who's interested in traveling at all to log on to check this out. If you go here, you'll learn more about sort of what's included in that opportunity. It's all expenses paid. It was a life-changing opportunity for me, so I encourage all of you to also apply. So on that note, I want to quickly speak to all of the educators in the room. So as you know, we have a wonderful program prepared for students today, but we also have a wonderful program prepared for the educators. And to do so, I want to invite Kathy Welling, who's the Director of Global Education at EF, to the stage. So please give a warm welcome to Kathy.
Hi, everyone. So, what a morning. Fantastic job. We already have amazing ideas going. You're already collaborating and communicating with each other so well, and we've just begun. And so while you continue these great conversations, we want to offer an opportunity. Calvin and I'd like to invite the educators to join us while your students are in their workshops. We'll have our own where we get to have a conversation with the adults in the room, or those people who are at least older. And so at that time, we'd like to be able to share what's happening in your schools. And we'll think about the Portrait of the Graduate, obviously, as part of that, but it's your chance to really talk with the others who are here in this room. So while the kids are doing all of their work together, we get to work together as well. So where you'll find that is all the way at the end of the hall there, and we have good snacks. So hope you can join us. Thanks.
All right, fantastic. So yeah, educators, join us in that room for good snacks and good conversation.